Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Nick with NV Board Gaming. I'm continuing my top 100 games of all time. So this is episode 2. We're doing 25s, so 2 each of Andrew and I, and then Vic and Sam are joining. They're going to do a top 50, and we're just going to take off from there. The last episode of this will be a top 10 of all 4 of us, so I cannot wait for that. I'm going to jump right in. Just go right in. 75. So 75, there is an easier version of this game called King Domino. I like Queen Domino. Queen Domino is my 75 tile placement game. King Domino is more popular, came out first. It's a little simpler to explain. Queen Domino has a little more going on. You can tax people. But anyway, what you're doing, and there's also actually special tiles out there. A dragon can kill off a tile. There's a little more to it. And I think it needed that for my taste. So I like Queen Domino more. Tile placement game. You get to draft different tiles with your opponents. Plays really good at 2 and really good at 4. 3, I like it better at 2 and 4 myself. I tried it at all 3 of those. So Queen Domino is my number 75 to kickstart this list. 74 is a game that I borrowed from Andrew and Sam. Had not played it before. We had been wanting to play it. It was an anticipated games list. We really like a game we need to play. Vic and I both agreed. It is Grand Austria Hotel. And this one works best at 2 players. And I think that's pretty widely accepted that this is best at 2. And I think Andrew has already talked about this. So if you do want more information, he would be a better source of that because I don't actually own the game. I borrowed it and played it a few times. But you're filling out your hotel. The way that dice work in this is really, really good. And yeah, it's just a great game. It's a classic. It's an older game. He actually has the expansion, which he kickstarted as well. 73. Well, 73, I messed up a little bit. I have 2 games for 73 because one of them I forgot. I didn't forget. I had it on my list, and somehow in Excel I deleted it. Realized it after I had already uploaded my last video. So I'm gonna sneak it in here. It's Blood Rage 73. Somehow got deleted. Blood Rage is there. I think Andrew may have already covered this one as well on his list. Eric Lang game, really simple rule set for what that is. You expect it to have a lot, it doesn't, and Eric does games like that where it seems like you're going to have a lot of rules, and then it turns out to be pretty simple. Card drafting this is excellent. Area control is excellent. Really good game, Blood Rage. And the one I actually remembered to write for my 73 is a Stefan Feld game, Oracle of Delphi. Oracle of Delphi. Traveling around the board, doing these different objectives. It has some pick up and deliver. It has a lot of mechanisms going on, a lot of cards you can use to mitigate things. Similar to, I guess, it ties to a bunch of different games. It's not like his other games, but it does. You can see bits and pieces. You can see a little Castle Burgundy in there, the way you're manipulating with cards and stuff, and the way you're manipulating dice even with the workers in Castle Burgundy, and then you can do it in this game as well. Totally different game, but since I have 2 games for number 73, everything is going up. So this is actually 101 list of a top 101 technically. My list is completely invalidated. It's useless. It's void. I'm going to end the episode here. I'm sorry, guys. All apologies, and then catch you again in the next one. All right, so I guess it wasn't that big a deal. I can continue. So that was my 73. Welcome back. 72 is a game we covered recently, a 2-player only game. It's a historical game. It's called Watergate. I really love Watergate. It's such a great 2-player only game. I don't know if it'll appeal to most people. A lot of people don't like historical themes. Our friend Evan pointed out that he's not into it. He probably wouldn't even try it because of the theme. If you can get past the theme, don't mind it. It's not a divisive theme at all. It's really, it's so far gone in our history that I don't know that anyone would be like one way or another. It's just a game, and it's a great one. It's a back and forth game, tug of war. If you like games like, I would say, 13 Days, Twilight Struggle, I like it a lot better than Twilight Struggle. I know that's blasphemy to some people. I like it way more than Twilight Struggle. I would play this way over that. Not even close. I love Watergate. Watergate really works well. One team's playing Nixon, administration, Nixon. Other team is playing the journalist of the Washington Post. Cool. Number 71 came out of nowhere, kind of. It felt like it got a lot of buzz just all of a sudden. Just all of a sudden, it got a lot of buzz. The box doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't necessarily, even the board itself Doesn't look all that great. It has a bunch of tech trees. It's a newer game. It's called Beyond the Sun. Beyond the Sun, the way the tech trees work is really nice. I like how you unlock different worker placement spots on the board. You have different things that don't unlock for everybody. It unlocks for you. Your opponents can unlock those, but they have to do different things to accomplish that. Really good game. It's a surprising one when you sit down and play it, that this one works as well as it does. And that is Beyond the Sun. Number 70, I have a soft spot for. I don't know. I don't see this on a lot of people's top 100, but I just love it. I think it's so awesome. It looks like a kid's game, but it's not. Anyone can play this game. It's a worker placement game, but it has set collection too, and you play it so many rounds because the games can be so different every time you play it. The game builds upon itself. It's called Fabled Fruit. Fabled Fruit, just looking at the box of all those animals, you're like, yeah, this is geared toward, 10, 8-year-olds. I don't think so. The way the game works is so cool. I love it. This has got to be one of the most surprising games I've ever played. This and maybe Camel Up might be another one, where you place workers on these different cards to trigger off an action that you can do. And you can't do the same action twice in a row, and it can't be blocked by an opponent. But as people accomplish different objectives that are on the bottom of those cards, they get cycled out and the game changes because new objectives come out, new cards, new worker placement spots. There's so many of these, and there's an expansion too, which I haven't even touched yet. Fabled Fruit's just awesome. It's my number 70. Alrighty, so we are in the top 60, well, top 70. 69 is one I've touted a few times on the channel. It is a space-themed game, not talked about at all. I don't know why. Ganymede. Ganymede's fantastic. Ganymede's almost a tea game for me because it's like you're doing your little puzzle, which when we call the relaxing games, the tea games, Ganymede has that. It's a little puzzle you're trying to solve. You need these precise workers. You can see how to solve the puzzle, and now you just got to make it happen and hope your opponent doesn't ruin it somehow by taking cards that are out there. You're trying to get these people to Ganymede and take your shuttles off, score points. The puzzly nature of this is just so good. It has an expansion. I don't think you need the expansion. You can get it if you play it enough. But I like the base game of Ganymede. Ganymede's awesome. All right, my number 68 is a dice placement game with amazing production. It's similar to a game of Marco Polo in a way. The way you're moving around a board has nice components. The art is nice. Everything pops. It is the game Coinbra. Coinbra is one of my favorite dice placement games, if not my favorite. You'll find out, I guess. Just great game. It grows on you too. At first, I think it's just fine, and then the way you see the cards come out, it's going to be similar every time. So there is that, but you just see different ways of going about your turn, different things that become more of a priority to you, different ways to win. That is Coinbra. 67. This one has a game that's similar to it that's going to come up soon as well. It is cat-themed or a knitting theme, if you will. It is Calico, where you're placing out these different patterns on your board. It's another puzzly game. Great game. Works great at 2. Works great at 4. You have your own little board that you're trying to build out things. So, like I said, another puzzly type game. You have objectives that change every game. Placed out where you'd like. You can score different patterns for the cats that want to sleep on those quilts. And that is Calico. It's just it's surprisingly a great game. We've reviewed that one, and I was surprised by it. Number 66 is a game I find beautiful. It is kind of city building, even though it is your own little beachfront, your own little pier. It is Santa Monica. Santa Monica, I am a sucker for that art, and I'm not like a super beach guy or whatever. It's just great art. I love it for whatever reason. Great theme, building out. I like city building. City building is cool. Santa Monica does it really well with a beach theme. You're trying to move around these people where they need to be, but you don't want too many because you can't hold all of them sometimes. So you're trying to get that nice balance. You're trying to score off different things on your cards, different objectives that are shared objectives. Great game. I believe this is another crossover with Andrew on his list. 65. One of the most basic. Basic, yeah. I think I can get away with saying that. One of the most basic worker placement games there is. It is Lords of Waterdeep. Lords of Waterdeep, straight up worker placement 101. You put a worker out, you get the stuff. Okay, you can add buildings that will also be additional worker placement spots that people can go to. You will get a benefit for them going to those spots. You have cards that you can use. That some of them are actually kind of take thatty. You can do like mandatory missions. I think that's what they call them, mandatory something. And you can kind of mess with them because then they cannot continue doing their own thing until they have accomplished that mission that you gave them. And those missions give you points, but not nearly as many points as you would like. Worker placement's great. The intrigue card's great. A really great game. It's I would say at this point, it might even be a little underrated because it was overrated at one point. Everyone, was talking about it when it came out. And now it's like kind of poo-pooed on because people have moved on. They've tried different worker placement games. But this one still holds up. It's still a great game. Pretty easy to teach, which really helps when you're trying to introduce somebody to worker placement. This would be my go-to, even up before Stone Age, I think. It's back and forth between those two. All right, number 64, I actually referenced in the previous 25 because there is a game that was before it that is similar, but this game is the one I like more. It's Imperial Settlers, Empires of the North. A card game, essentially, but this adds a little spot where you can put a pawn and trigger off actions, which I think is awesome. It's variable. It moves around every time you play it. It's not a set static board. And the actions on there are super cool. You can pick one, and then if you spend an apple, you can move to an adjacent one as well, so you can trigger off one of your workers twice. You have two of those little pawns that you can move, or place out and then move with an apple. You have these cards that trigger off different things. You're going back and forth, just like the game I referenced, 51st State. I just think this one is better, and it has a lot of different factions you can be. There's other expansions that come out. I think we only have one of them at this point. I don't really need all of them. We don't play it that much just because it's not the only game in our collection. So we bought the Ancient Egypt one, I think, the Egyptian expansion. There's also Romans and Japanese and a few others. So really good game, two-player game, excellent. Empires of the North, and it grew on me too. It was just fair, and then it got better. Next one is not one I would recommend if you're heavy on theme. This one is Hadara, and I don't know if this is supposed to be a Civ game. I guess I don't know. I just like the way it plays. All these different categories and getting cards, making things better. You have your own little board, and you're increasing all these stats. I think it's awesome, and it has that card drafting in it too. I'm a sucker for card drafting. Hadara, it is, I would say it's a little bit of a dry game. You got to be more mechanism focused. And like I said, if you're a really theme focused person, maybe skip Hadara, but I love it. All right, number 62 is the one I referenced a moment ago when I said Calico. This one is Cascadia, first shown to us by Andrew and Sam. They love this game. This was their number one relaxing game of all time. And we have been playing it more and more. I play it solo. I played it on the channel solo. They reviewed the game on the channel as well. Cascadia is getting a lot of love from Envy Board Gaming lately. I don't have to explain it anymore. We've done it so many times. I'll just say it's a tile placement game. You're putting out animals. It's beautiful. I taught the family as well. It went over great. Definitely highly recommend Cascadia. Next up, number 61. A Ryan Lockett game. So he has great art. I have a Ryan Lockett table mat right here, a play mat all over my board. So I'm a big fan of his art. This one is the only one. Nope, not true. Not the only Ryan Lockett game on my list. I can think of another one right now. This one is a great one, though. It's a storybook Atlas game. Another crossover with Andrew, because I know I've edited the video, so I know it's on there. Great game. It is Near and Far. Near and Far is fantastic. We reviewed it on the channel as well. Gave it amazing scores. Great game. I would say maybe it tapered off a little bit for me because it does feel a little repetitive despite the Atlas. You're going out there, you're building the camps. That's probably the most overpowered. It's the most optimal way of winning is keep going out there, building those camps, get them, get this stuff, build the camps. So there is that. That's why it's not top 30 or 25 or whatever. It does have that you feel like, okay, I see the path to victory. I got to do this if I want to win. But other than that, great game. We've brought it out to newer gamers. It really worked well. Brought it out in people that actually dominoed, where we showed somebody and then they showed their friends the game. They bought the game, and it, great game, near and far. Going to number 60, dry space game, I guess, dice placement. It is Pulsar 2849, and I can never remember the what year it is, but it's 2849. I wrote down here. Space themed game, dice placement, like I said. So when I said dice placement, Coinbra, well, right away you can already tell it's not my favorite dice placement because I do like Pulsar a bit more. A lot going on, not the easiest of teaches. I would say Coinbra is the easier teach. It actually looks better too, but Pulsar is really good. Dice placement. So I like worker placement. So if you like worker placement, you're probably gonna like dice placement too. You know, it just throws a little bit extra into it. If you like the space theme, even more. You know, even more to you, geared to you liking it. If you like that theme, that's my number 60. Number 59 is an unsung game, underrated. We reviewed it on our Halloween week, where we did the Halloween videos, Halloween reviews. It is London Dread. London Dread, to me, is criminally underrated. I think maybe people get turned off by the end game because it is a chunk of a dice, but you're increasing your odds throughout the entire game for that finale. You are doing things that are the whole game that are trying to increase the odds of you winning the game. And I think it works really well. It's a cooperative game set in London, old times, what do they call that? Victorian, maybe period. I think it's excellent. I just do. You're matching symbols. You're trying to accomplish things. You have a little programming board. You're saying we're going at a certain time of day. I'm going to go here at this time, you know, and I'm going to do all these things at this section of London. And then at this time, I'm going to move north, and I'm going to go here and do all these things. What are you doing? Okay, you're doing that? Perfect. And you're just working so well together. It's such a great experience and such a clever, and I've used that word a lot, it's such a clever game, the way you program the certain times and what you're doing there. London Dread is my number 59. Number 58 is another city builder. It is Suburbia, a classic. Suburbia is great. All you're doing is you're placing tiles adjacent to what you kind of like, you get a plan, and you know you're placing it adjacent to score the most points. This is what I need this surrounded by. This is what is going to score me if I have all these, you know, these buildings here. And it's one of those, you know, you're just chaining off, kind of like Santa Monica. And this is just with tiles and a bit more involved. Yeah, I would say it's more involved. It's more fulfilling. I like this game more than Santa Monica. That is why it is my 58, obviously. All right, moving on to 57. Another horror-themed game. This is of the Cthulhu variety, and it is a cooperative game called Eldridge Horror. You have Arkham Horror, you have Elder Sign, you have all these Cthulhu games. This is a pulled out scope of the entire world, entire globe, and you're traveling to these different cities all over to conquer Cthulhu. You're doing the best you can to acquire assets and get spells and do all these kind of cool things on your turn. A difficult game to win, but it is possible, at least, unlike the Reckoners, which is impossible. And I've mentioned that before as my number 99. Both great games. 57, Eldridge Horror, though, for sure. All right, moving on to 56. I said that Ryan Lockett would have a higher game on my list, and this one is not talked about enough. It is Islebound. Islebound, taking your ship around this beautiful, beautiful board. And it's not cooperative in any fashion. This is the opposite. You're conquering places, or you're becoming allied with places to give you benefits and own that territory. Gives you a bunch of cool options, a bunch of different places you can go that do different things. You have goals that are shared that people can do, then you flip the next goal once you do that goal. You're doing all kinds of resources. You can fish and whatnot to trade in for other things. You're resting to get your crew. You're acquiring crew. There's a bunch of different options. Not the easiest game to explain, maybe, but not bad either. That is Islebound, a beautiful, beautiful game. One of my favorite box arts is Islebound. All right, moving on to 55. 55 is a game we've also reviewed in this channel. It is Praga Caput Regni, one of Vic's least favorite board game names. She She doesn't like saying that name. I think she'll just say Praga, and we kind of just say it at random sometimes. Kaputragni. An odd game, but certainly enjoyable. If it's a heavier game, so it's not one I'm going to pull out to introduce to people. Lot of things going on, and I remember critiquing the board. The board it feels like a mess. It's so large. I needed 2 screens for sure when I recorded the playthrough, and it's huge. And the art, it's just like what? It's just so much. The board is just too much for me. But the game is so good, it had to make the list. I gave it an 8.5 after playing it quite a few times, and it's just a really good game. I don't pull it out that much because how involved it is, but when I do, I really enjoyed that game. Praga Kaput Regni is my number 55. Number 54 is a game we don't play that much anymore either, but it's so good. And every time we play it, I realize that this is such a good game. I just need the motivation to bring it out and set it all up, set up the scenario, which can be a burden. It is Memoir 44. A 1944 World War II style game, 2 players back and forth, getting cards. The cards tell you what you can do on your turn. You're playing those cards. It's your choice what you're going to command on the board. You have tanks, you have mortars, you have soldiers, and it's just mano-a-mano. There's different win conditions based on the scenario you are playing, and you have a big scenario book. There's expansions. I have one, the Mediterranean one. I haven't even opened it yet, so it's just getting through that book. There's so many scenarios that it requires so many plays, and then you can say, okay, I'm done with the base game, I can move to an expansion. So I'm waiting to get to the point where I can move to one of my expansions. That is number 54, Memoir 44. Number 53 is a lot of people's favorite game of all time, and I can say that about quite a few games here, but this one it's worth mentioning because it's Terraforming Mars. I know quite a few people who put this as their number 1 game of all time. I like this game quite a bit. It's my number 53, which would be a sin to some people that are diehard Terraforming Mars fans. I like the card play in Terraforming Mars. I don't care about the board as much. Some people like the board. You can take it or leave it. But I really like the card play. We play it online quite a bit. We played it in person. I don't know. We played it online quite a bit, maybe 5 times or so. But I know people that have played this game, I would say 50 times, which I don't think we've played nearly any game 50 times. I can only think of one off the top of my head that I have played over 50 times. But Terraforming Mars is a classic already. It's not terribly old, but it just feels like a classic. People talk about it all the time if they're into the hobby a lot. This is one of the first ones they'll mention. So Terraforming Mars are a great game. Love the card play. Love how you trigger off different things. Great. All right, number 52 is another one that kind of flew under the radar. We reviewed it, and every time we play it, we really enjoy it. Really smooth gameplay. Crown of Amara has 2 boards. One you're just doing more basic things of acquiring resources, going around and spinning. You're always going to spend a card on your turn. You will not get that card back for quite a while, typically, but you're going to spend it and do the card action. And you're going to move based on where you slotted the card itself. You're going to move 1, 2, or 3 spots, and possibly 4 if you use one card where it gives you 1+ movement. Great game, obviously. So it's a balance of which board you're focusing on. You really want to do one board, but then you need to do the other board as well to get resources. So it's that balance. It's a great game for that. Crown of Amara. And I need to stop prefacing everything with, it's a great game, it's a great game. Yeah, it's a great game. It's on this list, Nick. Shut up. Number 51 is the last game on this list, and it is new to us. This one is probably, we got it like 2 months ago, and it already climbed this well, and we've only played it at 2 players. I'm dying to play it at 4. It's got to come out next game night. Red Cathedral. Fantastic game. I love this game. Man, the way the dice are working, just the way the dice are working around the rondel fascinates me. I don't know. I'm a sucker for this game, and I can't wait to get more plays of it. So yeah, that's my number 51. That review is going to be coming up soon. Vic and I have to do a review of that one still, so you already know it's going to get high scores from me. I don't know what Vic scores it, but I assume it'll be decent. I don't know if it's top 50 decent, but because we don't really talk about our scores there. But that is going to close out my number 50, or sorry, that's my number 51, and it's going to close out my 75 through 51. So next time, Vic is going to join me. We're going to be hitting our 50 through our 41s, and I'm so excited to have Vic joining me. I want to hear what she has to say, and I want to hear what Sam and Andrew have for their top 50. I love these lists. I've always loved lists. It can be anything, and Vic can tell you. I've done lists for music. I've done lists for so many things, and I would ask her to do, hey, can you rank your like favorite songs of all time? I want to go home and I want to listen to all your songs, you know, that are your favorite. And I want you to listen to ones that are my favorite too and see, you know, discover new things. So I hope that you guys appreciate some input. I know there's a lot of channels out there that do lists like this, but we appreciate you coming to ours. And, you know, I'm sure if you got this far, you probably skimmed around, and I don't blame you. These lists get long. So that's why I'm going to cut it out right now. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.